The measuring stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at it.
You are now listening to the Outsiders Podcast, the most exciting and hard-hitting show on the net. And now, bringing it hard as always on the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL, here are your hosts, Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger.
Good evening! Welcome to our show. If you've got that problem...
Wow, not every day you get Dee Snider from Twisted Sister to bring you on to your own program, Noah. I am excited. Wait a second, the Chiefs still have one more game left. So
oh, God, excruciating.
Got to temper that enthusiasm maybe just a bit because the Chiefs will have to go on the road to play the Denver Broncos, and we're going to be previewing that epic confrontation today with our boy Byron Chamberlain, ex-Denver Broncos tight end, is going to be coming on with us later, talking from the Denver side of things, which is a little bit cheerier, a little more merry as we head out of the holiday season. Denver has won 10 straight games. That team is playing as well as anybody in the NFL. And my gosh, I guess when Peyton Manning signed in Denver, we all should have known this offseason that it was over. I mean, he automatically makes them a Super Bowl contender coming from an 8-8 season where they lucked into some wins with Tim Tebow. They're a Super Bowl contender now because of the right arm of Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I didn't know what they would lose with Brian Dawkins moving on. I didn't like their safety situation. They've played strong. And as far as their running game, I didn't think they'd do as well without the Tim Tebow factor. But McGahee, now Noshawn Moreno, they're really carrying the load and doing well.
Well, Kansas City going into this game playing for nothing but pride/draft position. Romeo Crennel has assured us, though, Noah, they're going to try to win this game, which is good, but they should have tried to win the last 15 or so.
Well, I think they did try, but Romeo just has no idea what he's doing. He's not going to win this one, just like he didn't win 13 of the others.
Well, the only interesting aspect of this is, Noah, I believe that we are, in fact, days, possibly a week away from a regime change here in Kansas City. It is done. It is over. Pioli, Crennel are going to be out. Maybe as soon as the game's over on Sunday, I don't know, but in the next week or so, it is going to be over.
And the rumors swirling that Bill Polian, former Colts GM, and Tony Dungy's coming back. But last night on Twitter, Tony Dungy put the kibosh on that, saying he lived here for 3 years. He loves Kansas City, but he's just not coming back to coaching.
I never saw Tony Dungy being a part of this. I don't think that he would want to thrust himself into a situation like that. Plus, I mean, it's been a while. He was a wonderful coach with the Bucs and with the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, it ties to Bill Polian, who Bill Polian's a guy who has been asked about this job in Kansas City Chiefs recently, and he said one thing. He goes, "There's no stability at the quarterback position. Go get a quarterback." And if that's the case, you're hired, Bill Polian, because he went and got a quarterback in Carolina when he was there, and Kerry Collins, who isn't the greatest NFL quarterback that ever lived, but he took them to an NFC Championship game in the team's second year in existence. He moves on to Indianapolis and drafts Peyton Manning, which does not sound like a bold move. I'm telling you right now it was, because everybody in the NFL, many of his colleagues were telling him he needed to draft Ryan Leaf, and he drafted the right guy. He drafted Peyton Manning. It doesn't seem so bold now. We all know what a bust Ryan Leaf was. Everybody said draft Ryan Leaf, and he took the flyer on Manning. He goes and gets a quarterback. That's what we're going to need here. It doesn't have to be Bill Polian. He's not necessarily my number one choice either. Someone that's going to go here and get me a quarterback. I don't care who.
Ted Sundquist, we had him on. He was all about getting us a quarterback too, so there's another name for you.
Well, there's we've had all year this battle, this uprising of a counterculture of Chiefs fans, as I'll call them, people that are, all about taking the quarterback in the fourth round, stockpiling defensive linemen and offensive linemen in the first,
They want Alex Smith. I mean,
that's not the GM for me, I can tell you that. The GM that wants to do that is not hired for me. And Noah and I have plenty of clout when it comes to hiring this next GM, guys. Trust me. I wish we did anyway.
Yes.
But no, if you're not going to take a quarterback in the first round, you're not welcome here. And I don't think there's any other. I mean, I have nothing else to say about that. Those fans that don't want that, well, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. You're just wrong. You need to follow this template. We're going to get you there. I don't care if this quarterback class isn't the greatest one of all time. There's a quarterback in every class that's going to help a team. Find one that's going to help us. I don't care who it is.
Exactly. You got to find your guy, and you got to take him. I mean, it's going to be the first overall pick, more than likely, and you just got to take him. If you like Geno, take Geno. Murray, Barkley, whoever it is, find your guy, the guy that you single out as your guy, and take him number one overall. Don't play games.
Well, we got to realize here with Scott Pioli, you can't bring him back for many reasons. I mean, the neglect of the quarterback position being number one, to me, that is a fireable offense. That is a criminal. Like, he should be sitting in some Ugandan jail somewhere, to me, for this neglect of the quarterback position. Not only losing a job, but being shipped to a third world country, never to be seen again, for the neglect of the quarterback position. That is just absolutely criminal in the NFL. You cannot do that. You cannot win with that. We're seeing it now. The business side of things, Clark cannot bring this guy back. I don't care, how much he likes him on the business end. He cannot do this. The fan base would not accept Scott Pioli back another year, could they?
No, unless somehow he really loves the business side, but makes him maybe president, vice president of the team, and brings in a general manager. I don't see that happening.
I just don't think anyone associated with this. And I mean, obviously Romeo Crennel. There's zero chance. I mean, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's probably coaching in his last NFL game here on Sunday. So long to you, Romeo. It's been fun, except not.
Yeah,
and
he had his 35 years. He's got his 3 Super Bowl rings. He's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you this. I don't want to hear the term Patriot Way ever again in my life, unless Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are coming this offseason.
I don't want to. That's kind of why I don't want Bill Polian. I don't want to hear Patriot Way. I don't want to hear Colts Way. I don't want to hear the Colts of the slightly west, more west.
I see what you don't want to try to hitch another, onto.
I want to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I
Right.
want the Chiefs way. I don't want the Colts way. I don't want the Patriots way. I don't want the Falcons way. I don't want anyone's way. I want us to build our own thing, and I want other teams going, man, I want the Chiefs way, which right now nobody wants.
Nobody will come. I mean, this has been the biggest disaster. I know the Chiefs won 2 games in 2008, but this is a far worse team than that. This is the worst thing I think I've ever seen in the NFL, aside from maybe the winless 08 Detroit Lions, which were, I mean, they're winless. You give them the nod, but this Chiefs team is as bad as anything I've ever seen in the NFL. And someone's taking the fall for that, and by someone I mean everyone, because no one's going to be back here. I mean, people asking, well, should Brian Daboll? No, not one single coach. Unless they want to keep on Carthon or someone like that that's had some history with the team. Yeah. There's some guys that have some history with the team that could probably stay on. That's not hitched to this, particular staff or regime. But, man, it's time to move on. And I think that's going to be the exciting thing going forward is that the Chiefs, for the first time in our lifetimes, are going to have the number 1 pick. Yeah. The number 1 pick, this has never happened before. We're going to be covering that like crazy going forward.
If we can lose to the Broncos, which should be an easy task, we got former Broncos tight end Byron Chamberlain coming on the show today to talk, not only preview the Chiefs-Broncos game, we'll touch on that a little bit, but more importantly, looking ahead to the playoffs, NFC, AFC side, and the Broncos, and maybe some of their matchups looking ahead.
When it comes to Denver, and I want to get to them real quick because they're going to be 13-3 after they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll have won 11 straight games. To me, they're still a bit of an unknown. I give them full credit for every win they have, but we're going to ask Byron about this. They've only won 3 games against playoff teams. They've beaten, they've run roughshod through the horrible AFC West. They lost to Atlanta, to the New England Patriots. They lost to the Houston Texans. The 3, many consider 3 of the top teams in the NFL. They lost those games early on. Now, again, they were probably, Manning was just getting comfortable in there. But they're an unknown, Noah, to me. They're still a bit of an unknown.
And I'm wondering if the Broncos, well, maybe not the Broncos, but I'm wondering if Peyton Manning himself might want the Houston Texans to get home field advantage. That way he's playing in a dome instead of that cold weather that he hasn't liked in the past against those New England teams.
Maybe so. And when it comes to that, I think New England is still the best team in the AFC. I mean,
I agree.
I think New England's going to get there, whatever the route is. New England, I think, is going to be in the mix. I think right now, as it sits right now, they would probably, wind up having to go to Houston to get to that AFC title game. And I'll take the Patriots and Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady on the road with Bill Belichick in that situation every time.
Oh, definitely. I don't see how Peyton Manning does better in the cold weather than if he's playing in Reliant Stadium in that dome. I think he'd much rather prefer that, even giving away his home crowd. But I don't see. I mean, his balls have been fluttering lately, and if you get that cold weather, some wind in there, I just don't know how he's going to handle that.
Well, I don't know if there's a Ty Law out there for New England, maybe McCourty or one of those guys, or Dennard or Aqib Talib becomes the next Ty Law that is haunts Peyton Manning. But I they're going to be 13-3, but I don't see them getting to the Super Bowl. I think that they're a Super Bowl caliber team and could easily get there. And we thought the running game was going to go off. I thought, with some of the injuries they had early in the season to Willis McGahee, I thought Sean Marino's career as a Bronco was almost over. He was doing nothing. But after the McGahee injury, they come in and play Kansas City, and Marino, who's a chief killer, gets going, and now he's been a solid performer.
Yeah,
for them.
Napoleon Kaufman, the Chiefs. It's not
Sure
good.
did.
I thought we'd never see another Napoleon Kaufman type back killing us every time he plays us, but not doing well against some other competition. But we've got another one in Sean.
I'm going to give you a quote right now. No, I'm going to give you a quote that I read the other day on the internet, and I want
Edgar Allan Poe.
Well, I wish I can quote the Raven nevermore, but I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you a quote, and this was said about the Kansas City Chiefs and about moving forward, and it was from a former Washington Redskins general manager, and he said this. He said, "If you have to go forward next year with Brady Quinn, then you do it." Thoughts?
I don't understand.
You're looking
the quote.
at me in a puzzling fashion.
I don't understand the quote.
He went on to talk
What
about.
do you mean if you have to move on?
If you have to go forward with Brady Quinn, as in there's no good quarterbacks to take, move on with Brady Quinn. Is that even?
No, I mean I'd sign Michael Vick to a 2-year deal before I go with Brady Quinn.
So how is it possible that there's people out there thinking along these lines? This is an ex-general manager.
I don't know. That's scary. That's why he's an ex-general manager.
Our current one thinks the same thing. I'll tell you that.
He's about to be an ex-general manager as well. So.
I hope so. My gosh. Well, it'll be interesting. I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and, before we get too crazy here, we're going to go ahead and bring on Byron Chamberlain, talking a little Chiefs and Broncos. All right, and we are joined once again by former Bronco, Byron Chamberlain. Byron, we talked to you last time. The Denver Broncos were heating up. They had won a couple games straight. Now, here we sit, the last week of the season. They've won 10 straight games. Try to put this in perspective. I mean, this has been an amazing season. I mean, Peyton Manning comes in. What kind of a difference has that quarterback made for this team?
Well, the thing about Peyton coming to the Broncos, it's given the whole team confidence. And when you get a guy like Peyton, who's a proven winner in this league, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, it immediately infuses a level of confidence that, hey, we have the structure in place to win, to be a Super Bowl contender. And you watch the guy work, and you watch how he goes out every Sunday and he performs his job. It's an inspirational thing. It's a thing where other guys are going to raise their level of play.
Well, right now, Denver will be hosting the Kansas City Chiefs, who are limping into this game, to say the least. How hard is it going to be for Denver to try to stay focused and win this game? I mean, they're obviously still playing for a home field advantage, possible 1 seed. How hard is it as a player to stay focused and win a game like this against a team that you should absolutely destroy, but there's still so much on the line?
It's not very hard to be focused for this game because there is so much at stake for the Broncos. Kansas City is just playing, to get their season, playing the string to get their season done with. But there's so much that can be won here with the Broncos winning this game. Like you mentioned the home field advantage. You looked last week, and who would have thought the Vikings would go into Houston and beat them? So you have an opportunity to be the number 1 seed, get home field advantage throughout the playoffs, which every team plays for. And I know being a former Bronco, how special it is to play at Mile High during playoff games. There's not many places like that in the NFL. So there's a lot at stake. There's a lot to play for. So it's not hard to be focused at all.
Can you talk about this Denver Broncos running game? It looked like it was going to be Lance Ball and Ronnie Hillman maybe splitting carries after Willis McGahee got injured, and Noshawn looked to be maybe out the door after this year, but he's got it. He's been put in, and he's killing it right now.
Yeah, and I really respect Noshawn for what he's done this year. He's been in a situation that's a humbling situation, being relegated to 3rd or 4th team running back, running scout team in practice, and hasn't really complained, just kind of worked hard. And He's got an opportunity now, and he's stepped up and made the most of his opportunity. And a lot of times, as people, we need humbling situations, and they really show the true character of a man and show what you're made of. And I applaud Noshawn for taking the demotion and really working on his game and really keeping a positive attitude. And now that he's got his opportunity to play, has really stepped up and helped his team.
You know, one thing that's been chronicled about the Broncos this year is only 3 wins against playoff teams as we head towards the playoffs. I mean, is that a concern at all, or do you feel like this team will be able to turn it on and beat some of the better teams in the AFC once the playoffs do start?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's not a concern because you really can't control who you play now. You look at the Broncos' schedule early, and this is kind of how I look at it and how I break it down. They played Houston, they played New England at a time where the team was kind of being formed, and they were kind of learning each other. You have a new quarterback, and it's going to take that time period to really get on the same page with guys. You're running a whole different system that you ran last year under Tim Tebow. So it's going to take that time, and you could see them gelling, and as they gelled, I look at how they're playing, not who they're playing. And the Broncos right now are probably playing the best out of any team in the NFL right now. They're probably playing the best football of anybody. So it's not about kind of who they're playing. It's kind of about how they're playing.
Well, I'll tell you, obviously having Peyton Manning, a very battle-tested quarterback going into these playoffs, I mean, he's held up under immense pressure. His health has been good, but I want to go to the defensive side of the ball. Everybody knows Von Miller's had a great season, but talk about the play of Wesley Woodyard. To me, this is an unsung hero on the Broncos defense.
No, he's another guy, kind of like Noshawn, who's been he was a special teams guy, and he kind of got an opportunity with DJ being suspended, DJ Williams, and he stepped up and kind of showed what he's made of, and those are kind of things that you need on championship teams. I remember on our championship teams, we had guys. One of the biggest things about that team was the depth that we have, and you'd see guys go down, and even myself when Shannon Sharp went down in the AFC Championship game, or even in Super Bowl 33, you had guys like myself and Dwayne Carswell step up and take his place, and you realize the kind of depth you had at those positions, and that's what I see with like a guy like Noshawn Moreno and Wesley Woodyard. He comes in and he's not only playing, but he's making plays and making a difference on that defense. So just shows the depth that the Broncos have, and that's a great thing going into the playoffs.
Well, one thing that's been talked about here in the last 24 hours or so, Kansas City Chiefs coming in with 5 Pro Bowlers, which is as many or maybe even more than Denver has, and a lot of people kind of talking about that. I mean, a lot of people in Kansas City think that that's kind of a joke. Here we are, a 2-win team with 5 Pro Bowlers. How does something like that happen? And as Denver fans, do they take that as a slight that they don't have as many players as the 2-13 Chiefs?
I don't think you take that as a slight. I mean, because the bottom line is this: Kansas City has some players, and they have some great players, obviously. When I look at the Chiefs, though, they don't have the great players in the right positions. To win in this league and to be a playoff team and to be a Super Bowl contender, number one, it starts with your quarterback. You got to have a great player there. And most teams that are going to be contenders for the Super Bowl, whether it's the Broncos, whether it's New England, whether it's the Packers, they're going to be led by a great quarterback. So, and that's where you kind of got to start, I think. And if Kansas City can find someone there that is consistent and plays at a high level, then you'll start to see the turnaround with the Chiefs. But as a Broncos fan, let's hope they don't find that.
Do you think the one team standing in the way of the Broncos and getting to the Super Bowl has got to be Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning's nemesis, the Patriots?
No, not really. I think that it's going to come down to 2 teams. It's going to come down to the AFC. Is going to come down to Houston and Denver. I think those are the 2 best teams in the AFC. I like Tom Brady. I think he's excellent. I think the Patriots are excellent. But when I break down all three of these teams, I see the one common denominator is defense with Houston and Denver. Slightly better defenses, and that's what wins playoff games. That's what wins championship games is defenses. And I know Tom Brady can score with the best of them, but when I look at overall, I give Houston and Denver the edge defensively. And the other thing that Houston can do that neither of these teams can do is they can control the football running it with Arian Foster. So I kind of give a slight advantage to Houston and Denver, and I think it would come down to those two teams. Hopefully, we'll be playing them in Mile High instead of down in Reliant Stadium.
Well, as things shake out on the NFC side of things, what do you look for? We've seen a lot of we kind of have a jumbled situation near the top of the NFC playoff picture right now. Of course, San Francisco looked to be the team to beat, I think, until a week ago. All of a sudden, the Seattle Seahawks are playing probably some of the best football in the NFC. How do you see that picture playing out there in the NFC?
You know what? You hit it right on the head. I mean, I think everyone was kind of crowning San Francisco as the team to beat in the NFC, and they have a great defense. And you look at that, like I said, going into playoffs, that's what you need to win playoff games and to win championships is defense. But Seattle, has come out and like you said, they're probably playing the best football of anybody, and that's what you want to do, though. You want to hit the playoffs running. You want to hit it with momentum and winning games. You don't ever want to back in the playoffs losing. And so you get a team like Seattle who's hot right now. They could run that table, and they could find themselves in New Orleans. We've seen that a couple years ago with the Giants, and the Giants kind of got to the playoffs and got hot and ran the table. So you want to be playing your best ball, and Seattle has a great chance, as anybody.
Well, let's switch gears just for a minute. Rumors are that you, Byron, are going to be on hand at Pauley Pavilion tomorrow night for the big Mizzou-UCLA matchup. Get into some Mizzou basketball with you. We had a pregame of the Illinois game last week. A big win for the Tigers. How do you see this thing playing out at Pauley? UCLA obviously has a lot of talent, but they have really yet to live up to that talent.
Yeah, I'll be there. I actually was working on my courtside tickets right before you guys called me. So definitely be in Poly. I'll be in the building. Look for me on courtside. Big, like you said, huge win against Illinois. I think the thing about Mizzou right now, it's a different kind of team than last year, where we had the four guards offense. Right now, we have a big team who can rebound the ball, get extra possessions. Looking at UCLA living here in LA, tons of talent. You look at all the preseason about the guys that they were bringing in, these top recruits, and like you said, haven't lived up to it. They've been lost to Cal Poly here at home at Poly Pavilion. So hopefully we can come in there in a traditionally tough place to play, and it's against a traditional powerhouse in basketball, and still a win. I think it'll be huge for the Mizzou program. It'll be huge to get some exposure here out on the West Coast. I know we have one guy, Bell, who transferred. He's a Los Angeles guy who transferred from Pepperdine on the team, but it would be huge to get some publicity out here on the West Coast, and maybe even still some top recruits out this way.
Well, Byron, we'll definitely be watching for you. Next time some courtside seats like that pop up, you're going to have to give us a call, my man. I tell you what, let's catch up around.
I think I might have an extra one because I think my girlfriend's not going to the game with me. So
I'm going to start walking now. I could probably get to L.A. hopefully by tomorrow night. No, well, good luck for that. Good luck at the game, and good luck to the Broncos as they play out the rest of the season. We'll catch up again maybe around playoff time if you can squeeze us in, my man.
For sure. Always good to talk to you guys.
Appreciate it, Byron. Have a good one, man. And thanks a lot always to Byron Chamberlain coming on talking Chiefs and Broncos with us. He seems pretty confident that Denver is the team to beat there in the AFC. Not sure I agree, but I think he does make some good points. And I think, we have to consider that Denver, as a 13-3 team, could very easily be in the Super Bowl and easily win it.
Yeah, but I don't know if I agree with him when he said it doesn't matter the team, it matters how Denver's playing. I mean, I get what he's saying, but I think it does matter the team. If you're saying you don't care if you go up against the New England Patriots because you guys are playing great, I think you're slightly overlooking the New England Patriots, however possible that is.
And as far as the Houston Texans go, I think that that's a team that has shown, late in the season, you don't want to be limping into the playoffs. As Byron said himself, they're kind of limping into the playoffs to me, losing at home to Minnesota.
Yeah, he said he was those are their top two teams, Denver and then Houston. He said were his top two AFC teams. I don't know if I believe in that either.
Well, I mean,
I've never liked the Texans with Gary Kubiak. I don't trust that defense. I don't trust Schaub to make the plays. They're going to double cover Andre Johnson. Do they have enough weapons to get things done? Otherwise, I don't know.
I'd probably interchange, New England with Houston in that conversation, but that's it's probably nitpicking. And on the NFC side of things, I agree with them. But I think a lot of people are overlooking even Green Bay on the NFC side. That's going to probably be the 2 seed. They're a team that won the Super Bowl with a 10-6 record as a wild card only 2 years ago, guys. People forget that. They were 15-1 a year ago. They're getting people back healthy. Greg Jennings coming back. Probably not going to be a Packer next year, but that's whole other story. Maybe him and Dwayne Bowe can meet up somewhere and have a ball. But I like Green Bay going forward. I love the Seattle Seahawks. I'm glad he agreed.
Yeah.
About them. My God, think about their 3 wins in a row, and they've scored 52, 55, 42, all in consecutive in 3 weeks' time. They look like right now that they could beat anybody out there in the NFC.
And it'll be interesting if the Redskins get in to see what they can do. I mean, they've got the balance between the rookies, RG3 and Alfred Morris, their rookie running back out of the 6th round. And they've got a stud defense. You got D'Angelo Hall there. You got London Fletcher, who will never age. I believe he's 37 and having another great season.
Well, I think the only question about that is, when it comes to Redskins-Cowboys, the Redskins will have a double-digit lead at some point in this game. I'm going to say 2 touchdowns. The Cowboys will come back.
Storming back.
That you will turn away from the television for a moment to go get something to drink. You will sit back down. The game will be tied with 30 seconds to go. It will go to overtime, and the Cowboys will lose.
Yep.
That's pretty much every game I've seen all season.
I was about to say that. I was going to say if you're going to say that they're going to win, I don't know. I think they'll get to overtime, and then Romo will throw some pick, or the holder will drop a snap and fumble.
Or, you can always see from Coach Garrett some horrible time mismanagement is also always a factor. The Cowboys have been just so crazy to me all year because every time this Saints game was 31-17 in the 4th quarter, and I look up all of a sudden at my phone as I'm away from my television, I look and the game's tied. It's an overtime. How did they do it? How did they get there? But again, the end result, which is...
And that's been the Cowboys for the past 3, 4, 5 years.
Wow, they got to move on from Romo. They have got to move on from Romo, man.
I don't know. I like Romo. I mean, if you can find a better option, if you can package some people that you feel comfortable with and move on from Romo, then okay. But, I mean, there's not too many other quarterbacks I like over Romo. I just think they just need to find the right coach and get the right mindset in there for these players. I don't know what it is with them. I believe it's their mindset.
Well, how about this? The Kansas City Chiefs have not won a playoff game since 1993. The Dallas Cowboys, America's team, and I feel like there should be a musical interlude playing as I yelled that. The Dallas Cowboys have won 1 playoff game since 1996.
Wow.
1. I mean, just let that sink in a minute. This is a team that's been coached by Bill Parcells, that has been coached by Wade Phillips, not so well, but I mean, again, you're seeing it right now with Garrett. I just don't.
Yeah, but love or hate Jerry Jones. I mean, he's always out there. He's always trying. He's throwing money around. He wants to win. He's always going to try to win. Maybe you don't agree with a lot of the moves, bringing Jason Garrett on, keeping Jason Garrett around, and letting go of some guys. But I really think that I'd like to have an owner like Jerry Jones and trying to win every season.
Well, Noah, as we are about to bid farewell to this season, this treacherous Kansas City Chiefs season, do you have a memory? Do you have anything about 2012 that's been memorable to you from the Kansas City Chiefs? Something that warms your heart around these holidays?
Warms my heart from the Kansas City Chiefs. I can think of a lot of times I was sick to my stomach this year. I'm not sure what has warmed my heart other than doing these podcasts, talking to the great former players and even the 2 current players we talked with from the Redskins, Jordan Black, the Buffalo Bills, Arthur Motes. But other than this podcast and talking to these great guys, I can't think of anything that warmed my heart from the Kansas City Chiefs.
And don't you worry, your pretty little faces. We're going to be back in 2013 talking Chiefs every single week, twice a week. You're going to love it. And do not forget to catch us. We're going to be doing college basketball, NBA, and up and through the winter. It's not going to be a long, cold winter because you're going to have the Outsiders podcast bringing on the gas like we always do, bringing you guys the goods.